record. I'm recording. Share screen. I guess I can share my entire desktop. All right. Can everybody see my code there? All right.
The little videos are the top right hand corner, like gallery.
Hey Heidi, if you can hear me, can you go to the participant list and like click the yes icon? I just want to see if she's connected. Oh, okay. So she's here. Good. Hi Heidi. So I'll turn off participant lists. All right. So the next step here is to get the drop-down list that Maddie walked you through building yesterday. So when the user selects something from that list, to then have the message list component itself listen for that event and then do whatever the hell it wants, right? So the team that is in charge of building the message list, they decided that they want to filter the shown criminals if somebody chooses a crime from the drop-down list. So those two teams, we have to imagine there's two different teams. One team is in charge of the drop-down, a completely different team with completely different people are in charge of writing the code for message list, right? So they have to come up with a common messaging mechanism for how they're going to talk to each other. Since team A can't reach into B's code and B can't reach into A's code, right? Completely separate. So how are they going to talk to each other? I'm going to use my broker hub. We'll draw some of this out. So we have a, what do we call it? Conviction select, right? Conviction select responsibility that we use for. And then we have a criminal list. Representations, representation criminals. All right. So conviction select team decided that they're going to broadcast an event whenever a crime was chosen. And then any other component can choose to respond to that. So I'm going to choose a name for this event. So you always want to make some sort of action verb that describes what happened. So I'm going to name this event crime chosen. Right? I will broadcast an event that says crime chosen. And since criminal list cares about that, they've decided they want to filter their view if a crime was chosen. I can click and drag this over here. And a little red arrow will show up here, and I can hover over these. So this is a visualization that one will be broadcasting to the hub, and the criminal list will listen from the hub for the crime chosen event. Right? So that's what we implement. All right, so conviction select. Here we go. So we got the components, got the content target, it's rendering, converting all of the convictions to options, so it builds the dropdown. So if I, myself, all right, so I'm in control, I'm on the team for conviction select, so I'm in control of what happens in this component. So I want to determine when somebody has chosen something in the dropdown list. All right. So what browser-generated event happens when a user selects something in the dropdown? A change event, yes. Right. So I'm going to listen on the content target because that's me. That's everything that I'm controlling is on the content. So I'll add an event listener, and I'm specifically listening for change event. Now I'm going to provide, just 1 second, I'm going to provide one function for what should happen when a change event actually gets emitted by the browser. Yes, Trey. It's a browser-generated event when the dropdown changes, when the value changes. Right. So this is a browser-generated event. I have no control over the name of this, right? But I'm going to listen for it. So here in this anonymous function, or this lambda, I'm going to write instructions for what should happen when a change event is generated by the browser. Now, I want to make sure that the instructions I'm going to write are only for when the conviction select changes. Because in the future, I may have other dropdowns in here, possibly. So I'm going to make sure that this only happens when I click on this. So how can I make sure that the instructions I'm about to write only happen when somebody changes my conviction select? With an if statement. So only if something is true will this happen. So what must be true? All right, so what is unique about my select HTML element there that I can check? The ID is always a great thing to look for, all right? So if the ID of the target of the event is crime select, only run these instructions. All right, so here's the parameter I defined, change event. So I want to get the target of that, which will be the dropdown. Change event.target. Be the dropdown, and I want to check its ID property. So if that is equal to that, run these instructions. All right? Well, here's my goal. All right? I want to broadcast crime chosen, a custom event that other components in the system can listen to if they want to, in response. How do I create a custom event? Who remembers the syntax? Yeah, so declare a variable. We'll call it the crime chosen event. That's going to be equal to something. Yeah, so you need custom event. And it takes how many arguments? 2. What's the first one? Right, and I already determined it's crime chosen. All right, that's going to be the name of my custom event. So I'm going to put that in here. Crime chosen. Second one, the event init dict. Short for dictionary. You're not a Python cohort, so you will be dealing with dicts in Python. So that means object. All right, cool, object. What is the key that I always have to put on this object? That's right. Which itself is also an object, and here I can put anything I want. Here's where I define the data that I want to be sent along with this event. Right? Just like mailing a letter, you get to decide what goes inside the envelope. So what should I tell another component? If I broadcast the fact that a crime was chosen, what data should I send along? Which crime was chosen? So chosen crime, I heard somebody mumble that. So that's the property name. What should its value be? Selected crime. Where's that? Like if they chose murder, I want that to be here. That's why I want to put here is something that evaluates to the string of arson or murder, right? Somehow I need to get which option they chose. So okay. So if they chose, and let's declare another variable here. Crime that was chosen. So how can I get the option that they chose from that select element? That's the dropdown, and I want its value. That value, there you go. All right. All right. So this will evaluate to, whatever, arson, larceny, whatever they chose. It'll evaluate to that string. That means the value of this variable is going to be the string of the thing they chose. And that's what we want to pass along is the value of our property. So now we're passing along the string as a property on the object. So the data payload for this event, as I call it, the data payload. Yes? We'll find out, that's for sure. But dot value is definitely how you get the value of an input field in HTML. Absolutely. All right. Yes. It doesn't equal the click. It equals the value of the option that they chose. The target is the dropdown. So the way the browser's implemented dropdowns, as soon as you choose one of the options, that becomes the value of the select. So you can target the select and say, what is this current value? Which option is currently chosen? Its value is different, right? All right. So I have this up and running. I do on port 8080. So let me just fire up a new window here. 80. All right, now I'm going to debug this to, let's see if these values that I think I'm getting are actually going to be there. So this is a condition select. So if I want to see the crime that was chosen is correct, this variable right here, where can I put a breakpoint so that I can see what the value of that thing is? Line 14, right? I can put it right after the line that I want to check executes, and then I can see what is in. So let me just try this out. I'm going to choose one. We'll do vandalism. All right, so I am now paused. You can see there's a blue border. I'm paused right there. I can just take my mouse, and I can hover over it. And it is to the right. Over in this panel here, all these different scope variables, you will see the crime that was chosen is also listed right here. Right, so you can hover over something, or you can just look at the kind of the variable list that is on the right. Two different ways of doing it. All right, so I have just now verified that I am getting the correct value of what I chose. Looks good. My breakpoint. Screen. There we go. So I've now got a custom event, but I haven't shouted it out yet. How do I have to do that? Dispatch it to the event hub. What is the event hub? Right, so I need in JavaScript, I needed a reference to that DOM node before I can dispatch it. So right underneath content target, I'll do that. Current event hub. Dot container, right? The event hunt. All right, so event hub is now a reference to my main with the class container. So I need to, somebody said dispatch my custom event to the event hub. So event hub dot dispatch, and then I just send the event. So what do I type in here? The crime chosen event. That is the variable whose value is the custom event. Crime chosen. Right. My job is now done. And the message list should, or the criminal list should filter now, right? No. All I did was shout out a message. Nobody's listening. I'm being completely ignored. It's like being at home. Right? So I did not yell loud enough. So yes, I have two daughters, two teenage daughters. So nobody listens. So somehow I have to make them listen. Right? Take away the phone. Who is listening for this event? This component cares that a crime is selected. They've decided they want to respond to that user action in the application. So I need to go to criminal list, and I need to listen for this new event that I broadcast, dispatch. Criminal list. All right. I need to listen for, where do I start? All right, I need to get a reference to Event Hub so I can listen for all the events that are being dispatched to it. Cool. Trey, do you have a question? So why does the criminal list need to listen for that event and have the instructions for what should happen when the event is broadcast, right? Because I'm on the conviction select team and Mo's on the criminalist team. And they told me that they'll care, right? Like if somebody chooses a crime, Mo said, we're gonna filter our list of criminals. So the other developers told me that. Like, we're interested in that event, right? So it's their job to listen for the event. My job on my team is simply to broadcast the event, say this thing happened. It's their job to go write the implementation for how criminalists should respond to that event. That's their responsibility, not mine. Okay, so now I've got a reference to the Event Hub where the dispatch is happening from the other component. What's next? An event listener. What event am I listening for? Chosen. What should happen when a crime was chosen? Right? So we pass it a function, say, invoke this function when the crime was chosen, we have to put our instructions in here for what should happen. All right, filter list of criminals who committed the crime. Pretty broad. We need to deconstruct that. What are the tasks it takes to do that objective? What's the information what's the first bit of information we need in order to do this? We need all the criminals. What else? It's dependent on two things, the criminals and the crime, right? I need those two pieces of data. I need the criminals, I need the crime. Criminals. Well, I've got the criminals down here in my criminalist component, right? Can I use criminals here? Just that variable criminals, since I've already declared it down there. I hear some mumblings of no's. A couple of people like, I don't know, no. Right, scope, right? Since this variable was declared inside these two curly braces, that is the only place I can use that variable, nowhere else. So that means I need to go get the criminals again here. For now, I'll just do it the brute force way. I'll just use criminals again. Just get all the criminals. We can refactor later. Doesn't have to be perfect. Redundancy is fine when you first working it out. How do we get the crime? Because you guys told me when I dispatched it that I should send along the crime on the detail of the event. So how does the listener get that information? That was chosen equals what? Go to that detail object we created, and the one property we created on it was chosen prime. That's the property that we created on that detail object. So that will evaluate to vandalism. Look at all of the criminals and determine if one is a vandal. Just in this case, but since I chose vandals. All right, how can we look at all of the items in an array? There's a couple ways. We started off with for ofs, played around with map, but now we're going to get to a new array method called filter. So what variable right now in the scope of this function has a value of the array? Criminals. All right, dot filter. Brand new array method. What filter does, like map, it produces a new array. The instructions that we're about to write in the function that we passed to filter is where we determine what should go in a new array. It differs from map. The job of map is to convert every single thing in the original array to some other format and give me a new array. Right? So if there's 10 in the original array, there will be 10 in the new array. This one's different. Only some of the items from the original array will be in the new array. Right? So we're creating a subset. So we have to write the logic about which one should go into the new array. So the function with those instructions. So this parameter right here is going to hold each individual object, just like in a map. And yet now we have to determine what determines if it goes in the new array. What determines if it is true? Some condition must be true. What? Well, I need to go look at my criminal data. Where is my data? Where's my data provider? Oh, I don't know why they didn't come up. Well, that's not my data. Oh, that's right. We're getting it from the interwebs. All right, so here's one criminal. Look at all these properties. One of these things has to be equal to, there it is, conviction. That is the property on every criminal that we're going to compare with what was chosen from the dropdown. So if that property is equal to what was chosen, we're going to return true. Yes, this thing should go in the new array. How do we do that? Let's just start off with the most explicit way. If something is true, all right, what are the two things we're comparing? Criminal dot conviction. That's one thing. The other thing is the crime that was chosen. If those are the same string, put this current criminal in the new array. Otherwise, they're false. Don't put this criminal in the new array. You do not need to say else. Because if we get to line 19, you're done. What's that? Need is a strong word, but I like to be explicit and literally return true or false. Well, I'm testing if it is true. There's no reason to test if it's not true. All right. What does filter produce? What did I say? What's the end result of a filter? A new array. So filter returns something. So if a function returns something, what should I do? Store it in a variable. That's a mantra, right? If a function returns something, store that return value in a variable. How the hell do I do that? Where do I write a variable? Where's my filter keyword? That's right. Criminals. Right? The ones who are guilty of the crime. So that will evaluate to, I'll just kind of write it out, some array with like a couple objects in it of the criminals that committed that crime. That's what that whole statement will evaluate to, is an array with a couple objects in it. That's the end result of filter. Okay, so now I've got my subset of criminals. I need to show them now. Because right now, all of this logic for displaying the criminals is trapped inside criminal list. So I got a couple options here. I guess I could just do this. Copy that code and put it up here. Iterate the array and show them on the screen. Does that make everybody happy? Is that joyful code? Yeah. It's good enough for now, though, right? But the problem, and I'm going to point it out, is this right here. So let's walk through the scenario. The screen first loads, and I choose a crime. How many criminals are currently displayed? Right? All 50 of them, or however many I have in there, 100, right? What happens when I choose a criminal? I'll have 104, because I'm appending, right? So somehow I need to start from scratch. Wipe away all the current criminals and just show these 4. How the hell do I do that? How can I start from scratch and remove everything that's inside that div? Right. There is no inner HTML to start with now. Wipe it all out. Then build it up again. All right, I'm gonna test it. I've written some code. I should probably test it. Let's see what happens. So vandalism. Good. It didn't do anything. But I filtered it down. Line 28. Look at that. What am I iterating? Criminals. This variable right here. What is its value? How many? That's all of them. I only want to iterate my guilty criminals. So what should go here? Guilty criminals. Try that. There we go. 3 criminals. Cecile, Cordy, and Eliza. Guilty criminals. Yes. Question. Yeah, take a minute. Think about it. Sometimes it's hard. Now is the time for questions. I'm done. That was the grand reveal. So, Billingsley. No, I am not. The interracial property is going to be an interest rate, yes. Without the plus sign, just like that. Let's find out. I'll choose vandalism. Uh-huh. That's all right. It's resetting, 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 resetting. So there's some words in code for handling what should happen when some other component yells at me that something happened. I'm listening, and then I'm controlling what I do. Not what somebody else does, what I do in the event that that happens. In the event that that event evented. Crystal. Say that one more time, sorry. I had you until return? You mean at the on the filter? Those returns? Okay. The function that you pass to the filter array method. It's going to iterate each one of the criminals. Right? So just starting like this, if I did this, how many criminals would end up in the guilty criminals array? All of them. Because I'm returning true every time this function is invoked for every criminal. So the filter function that you write, the callback function for filter, if it returns true, whatever current thing you're looking at will go in the new array. If it returns false, the current thing you're looking at will not go in the new array. So since I'm always returning true now, every single thing will go in the new array. And I'll prove it to you. I'm not lying. All right? They're all still there. So the thing is, I only want some of them to go in the new array. So I have to write a condition about what must be true about this current criminal in order for them to be led through the gate into the guilty criminals. Tell me what you did on line 18. So what did you would return criminal and then you put in parentheses like that? Oh, not there. Oh, okay. What if I did return criminal? Is that what you did? Return criminal? No. Oh, you converted it and then put that in the new array. Okay. Like this. That's what you did. Oh, yeah. I understand why you did that. Yeah. So would you like to discuss why this doesn't work? Okay. What is the return value of criminal? What does this function return? Is that true? Is a string true? No. So let's find out what happens with this code written. And I'll choose vandalism again. All the criminals. All right. So since I didn't return true, no criminals are making into my subset of guilty criminals. That's why it's good to explicitly return true or false here. Yes, there's some clever ways of getting around that. Try not to be clever. Put a condition about what must be true, and then put a return true inside of it. And then a return false outside. Yes. Whatever is within these curly braces of your function, one code path should return true and one should return false. Right? If one code path returns true, whatever object or whatever thing you're currently looking at will get copied into the new array. It is not absolutely necessary, but I want you to write it anyways. Explicitness at this point helps. Not right now, no.